I am the reason OpenAI exists. I came up with the name. Right. The name OpenAI refers to open source.
The most powerful AI company in the world was in chaos.
Chaos over the weekend when the company that gave us ChatGPT fired its CEO.
24 hours earlier, its board had fired the CEO. No warning, no public explanation, just 4 sentences delivered on a video call. And now, with 700 employees threatening to quit, Microsoft blindsided, and the entire AI industry watching, the board made one last desperate move. They called the one man they believed could save it, a physicist, a researcher, the person who had built the very technology that made the company famous, the person who had already left, quietly, without drama, 3 years earlier, before any of this existed. They called Dario Amodei. Their offer: come run OpenAI, merge his company with theirs, take the CEO seat of the most powerful AI organization in history. He said no. And this is the story of why, and what that no reveals about the most consequential power struggle in the history of technology. To understand Dario Amodei's no, you need to understand the company he left and the man who ran it. OpenAI was not founded as a business. In 2015, a group of technologists made a specific deliberate choice. They structured it as a non-profit, the same legal category as a charity, a hospital, a university. The obligation was explicit: develop artificial general intelligence for the benefit of humanity. Not for shareholders, not for profit. The mission was precise: to build artificial general intelligence that safely benefits humanity. That word, safely, was written in the founding documents from the beginning. And that was the starting promise. And for 4 years it held. Then in 2019, Microsoft wrote a check for $1 billion. According to an internal OpenAI memo dated June 2019, later filed as evidence in court proceedings, that investment came with a major decisions voting framework. At 85% of total investment, many observers viewed this as amounting to effective veto power over a company founded to exist, their own words, unconstrained by a need to generate financial return. The constraint had arrived. It wore a suit. It brought $1 billion. 2 years later, buried inside a tax filing that almost nobody reads, OpenAI removed the word safely. The new mission: to ensure that artificial general intelligence benefits all of humanity. Same idea, one word shorter. To supporters, a minor edit, title language, nothing more. To some critics, one of the most revealing word deletions in the history of the organization. Dario Amodei left OpenAI 4 years before that word was deleted. And what he built when he left looks, in retrospect, like a direct answer to everything that deletion represents. At the center of this transformation stood Sam Altman. Altman is not primarily a technologist. He's a narrative architect. His skill has always been making people believe in something that doesn't fully exist yet. By 2019, that skill made him the CEO of OpenAI, the friendly public face of a technology the world was only beginning to understand. The man who made AI feel inevitable, safe, and exciting, all at the same time.
I haven't had a good night of sleep since ChatGPT launched. What I lose more sleep over is the very small decisions we make about a way a model may behave slightly differently. But it's talking to hundreds of millions of people, so the net impact is big.
The man who made AI feel safe cannot sleep. On the other side of this story is a man who built the technology that made Altman famous, who watched the non-profit mission bend under the weight of Microsoft's money, who watched the words safely disappear from the documents, who has never, in any interview, on any stage, with any journalist, said Sam Altman's name. Not once. The physicist who built the engine refuses to acknowledge the driver by name. That silence is not accidental. Dario Amodei was VP of Research at OpenAI. He directed the creation of GPT-2 and GPT-3, the models that proved the technology worked, the models that made the company famous. He watched Microsoft's money arrive. He watched GPT-3, the model he built, get exclusively licensed to Microsoft.
GPT Maker was able to make this move after striking a deal with Microsoft, which is its largest investor.
He watched Elon Musk respond publicly.
So they essentially have a great deal of control.
At any point, Microsoft could cut off OpenAI.
He watched internal Microsoft documents, later revealed in court, include language observers interpreted as describing an ownership-level relationship with OpenAI. And then in December 2020, he resigned. He did not go alone. 14 researchers followed, including his sister Daniela, who left her VP of Safety and Policy role to come with him. In a later interview, Dario was asked directly, was this about Microsoft?
But then eventually, myself and a few other of the employees just kind of had our own vision for, how we wanted to make AI and what we wanted the company to stand for. And so we went off and founded Anthropic.
But here's what makes the departure more complicated than it sounds.
Yeah, the thing I would say is none of us wanted to found a company. We felt like it was our duty, right?
He says Microsoft wasn't the reason he left. Then he spent 3 years building structures that appear designed to prevent any investor from doing to Anthropic what Microsoft did to OpenAI. The building tells the story that the architect won't. Dario had watched the mission bend under Microsoft's money. He had walked away because he believed what he was watching would end badly. 3 years later, it did, within 72 hours.
For the first time, a former board member is speaking out. Helen Toner was one of the OpenAI members behind the coup, and on a podcast, she pointed to a toxic atmosphere, psychological abuse, sketchy safety processes, and accuses Altman of outright lying.
That board was just 4 people, no financial stake in a $90 billion company, a non-profit structure designed to prioritize mission over money. They had complete authority, and they used it. And then something unexpected happened. Not a legal challenge, not a countervote, something much older. The board had the power and the mandate. Altman had the entire chessboard. Four forces arrived at once. Microsoft, they had invested $13 billion. OpenAI ran on their infrastructure. The board could fire the CEO. They could not fire the landlord. Within hours, Satya Nadella offered Altman a new division. The largest investor had chosen sides publicly. 95% of the 770 employees signed a letter threatening to quit. Not contractual obligation, personal loyalty, built over years, activated in hours. The media. Every journalist had one story. Visionary founder outstood by anonymous board. The narrative wrote itself before the board could even respond. They were the aggressors before they even said a single word. The investors. Every person who had bet billions on OpenAI had bet on Altman specifically, not on a 4-people board with no financial stake. Their message was immediate and unambiguous. Altman did not fight any of it. He simply said 6 words. I loved my time at OpenAI. No rage, no counterattack, no briefings against the board. He let the four forces do the work. His silence was restraint. His silence was the fifth move that the board never saw. By Sunday, Ilya Sutskever had switched sides. One of the four who had voted to fire Altman signed the employee letter. The board had lost one of its own, not because he changed his mind, but because four forces and one strategy had made the board's position indefensible. He read the room. By Monday morning, it was all over.
Well, in our spotlight, just days after his surprise ousting as CEO at OpenAI, Sam Altman has officially agreed to come back to the company that pioneered ChatGPT. The announcement coming overnight and capping off a week of chaos since he was removed from the company that he co-founded.
The world saw a triumph. Altman was back. The board was gone. OpenAI was valued at $90 billion. The story had a hero the crowd had chosen. But Dario had not been watching the outcome. He had been watching the mechanism. And what that mechanism had just proven, that you could take a mission built to protect humanity, dress it in capital, remove the people who built it, and the world would stand and applaud. He had one answer, an architecture built in silence, designed to make what had just happened impossible to repeat. Anthropic's purpose? The responsible development of AI for the long-term benefit of humanity. Profit and purpose. Both written into Delaware law as a public benefit corporation. Both equally binding, only requiring a shareholder vote to change. But Dario had watched a mission statement bend before. He knew words were not enough, so he built 3 blocks. The mission, the public benefit corporation status. Legal, binding. A shareholder vote required to change it. No investor can rewrite what Anthropic exists to do. The share class. When Anthropic raised its Series C, it created a new class of shares that had never existed before. No economic value, no dividends, no ownership stake. One power only, to be able to elect and remove the board members. The trust. The long-term benefit trust. 3 trustees. No financial stake in Anthropic. 0 salary from Anthropic. Selected by each other. Not by the shareholders, not even by Dario. They hold the Class T shares. They control who sits on the board. 3 people. A national security expert. A former California Supreme Court justice. And a global health leader hold more authority over Anthropic's board than Amazon, more than Google, more than any investor on earth. And as of April 2026, the board majority is theirs.
Some breaking news crossing the terminal. Google will invest $10 billion in Anthropic, according to the startup.
Google owns 14% of Anthropic, yet it has 0 voting rights, 0 board seats. Amazon also invested approximately $8 billion. Again, 0 board seats, 0 votes. On paper, no investor controls Anthropic. This is at least what the documents say. Here's what the growth story says.
From the beginning, at least if you look within Anthropic, there's this bizarre 10x per year growth in revenue that we've seen. Right. So, in 2023, it was like 0 to 100 million. 2024, it was 100 million to $1 billion. 2025, it was $1 billion to like 9 or 10 billion.
The faster Anthropic grows, the more compute it needs. The more compute it needs, the deeper the dependency. The revenue and the power cord are the same story. Anthropic trains on Amazon's cloud, sells Claude through Amazon's marketplace, runs on Google's chips. Both companies invest in Anthropic. Anthropic spends on their infrastructure. They book the same dollars as revenue. They do not need a board seat. They need Anthropic to keep training models. The documents say no investor controls Anthropic. The server farm says something else. Dario had watched Microsoft capture OpenAI not through documents, but through dependency. One infrastructure provider, no counterweight. Informal influence that accumulated until it outweighed the board. He could not eliminate the dependency. Anthropic needed compute to exist, so he split it. Amazon on one side, Google on the other. Two rivals, each watching the other. Neither able to accumulate what Microsoft did at OpenAI. 3 locks on the front door, 2 power cords running through the back. The most complete attempt to build a capture-proof AI company anyone has ever made. And yet, there is one thing no document addresses, no governance structure anticipates, no compute split solves. When Wall Street arrives, who protects Anthropic from itself?
I credit Daniela with keeping the bar high.
Enter Daniela Amodei, president of Anthropic, while the world watched her brother.
It's Daniela who runs the company day to day.
The long-term benefit trust protects the board from capital. Daniela protects the people from themselves. No document does that. Only she does. She negotiated the Amazon deal, billed 300,000 enterprise clients, appointed the IPO architect. All of this while the world watched her brother. Dario built the structure. Daniela is the reason the people inside still believe in what it stands for. Remove Dario, the mission loses its architect. Remove Daniela, the mission loses its foundation. And both are about to face the one thing their partnership has never been tested by: each other, under pressure, in public, with billions on the line. Dario spent 3 years building every lock he could imagine. And yet, the man who watched OpenAI get captured by the very forces he was desperately trying to escape may have just walked into the same trap.
The AI company behind Claude has filed to go public, setting it up to be one of the biggest initial public offerings in history.
June 1st, 2026, Anthropic confidentially filed for an IPO at a valuation approaching $1 trillion. There's something about this IPO that nobody's saying out loud. The CEO of the company that just filed was asked recently, when does AGI arrive?
If you made me guess, it's like 1 to 2 years, maybe 1 to 3 years. It's really hard to tell. I have a strong view, 95% that all this will happen in 10 years. I think that's just a super safe bet.
Yeah.
And then I have a hunch this is more like a 50-50 thing, that it's going to be more like 1 to 2, maybe more like 1 to 3.
So 1 to 3 years.
1 to 2 years, which means Anthropic will be in the middle of executing its public company strategy, answering to Wall Street, meeting quarterly earnings targets, managing institutional shareholders. At the exact moment, the most transformative event in human history arrives. A system that does not assist human decisions, it makes them. Faster than any board can meet, faster than any document can govern, faster than any trust was designed to respond. The governance architecture was built for a world where humans make decisions and AI assists them. That world ends in 1 to 2 years. According to the CEO of the company filing for the IPO, nobody built a structure for what comes after. Not even him. In 1939, a physicist named J. Robert Oppenheimer faced the same problem. He had built something extraordinary, something that could change the world, something that could also destroy it. The ones who understood this most clearly were the ones who stopped. They were the ones who convinced themselves that the most dangerous thing they could do was let someone less careful build it first. Dario Amodei did not need us to draw that parallel. He drew it himself in a room with his co-founders on camera.
Right? If you look at the early discussions in 1939 between people involved in nuclear physics about whether nuclear bombs were sort of a serious concern, you see exactly the same thing with Fermi resisting these ideas because it just seemed kind of like a crazy thing, and other people like Szilard or Teller taking taking the idea seriously because they were worried about the risks.
Yeah, perhaps.
He's either the most principled operator in the history of technology, or is he Oppenheimer incarnate, a scientist who convinced himself that the safest hands to hold the most dangerous thing ever built were his own. The IPO is the first real test of that conviction. 6 risks arriving simultaneously on 6 different fronts. Human nature. Money does not change people, it reveals them. The people who built Anthropic accepted below market salaries. They gave up equity elsewhere. They bet their careers on a mission, not a paycheck. The IPO changes what that bet is worth, overnight for everyone at the same time. What the mission feels like after $1 billion lands in your account, nobody knows, not even them. The Pentagon. Earlier this year, the US Department of Defense told Anthropic to remove the safety restrictions from Claude, or be designated a supply chain risk, a designation previously reserved for Kaspersky Labs, the Russian cybersecurity firm suspected of ties to the Kremlin. Anthropic said no. Both siblings said publicly they believed this could end the company. They said no anyway. The Pentagon came once with a 3-day ultimatum to a private company. It lost. When it returns, and it will return, it will not come with a 3-day ultimatum. It will come with congressional hearings, regulatory frameworks, public market pressure. A private company can say no to a 3-day ultimatum. A public company answering to Wall Street every quarter is a different negotiation entirely. The design. The long-term benefit trust is designed to be independent, but new trustees are selected by existing trustees in consultation with Anthropic. In consultation with Anthropic means in consultation with Dario. The man the trust exists to check has informal influence over who checks him. That is not a flaw in that design. That is the design. Power chord. Dario did not rely on partners. He engineered rivalry. Amazon on one side, Google on the other. 2 rivals, each watching the other. Neither able to do what was done to OpenAI, because the other one is always watching. Safe, as long as they stay rivals. But Claude is approaching commercial dominance. Amazon booked $16.8 billion in Anthropic gains in a single quarter. The moment both companies profit more from Anthropic succeeding together than from competing with each other, the rivals become partners. The engineered rivalry collapses. The power cord becomes a noose. The people. Dario controls the mission. Daniela controls the machine that funds it. The trustees govern the board. The researchers build the technology. For 5 years, those roles move together. The IPO pulls them apart. Wall Street will pressure the machine for more revenue. The mission will resist. People who build something together will find themselves on different sides of the same argument, in public, with billions on the line. Every institution has been tested by this moment. The moment the external pressure that held people together becomes the internal pressure that pulls them apart. For Anthropic, that moment is called the IPO. Time.
So firstly, on the timeline, Dario, you last year in Paris said, we'll have a model that can do everything a human could do at the level of a Nobel laureate across many fields by 26, 27. We're in 26. Do you still stand by that timeline?
So, it's always hard to know exactly when something will happen, but I don't think that's going to turn out to be that far off. So,
the CEO believes AGI arrives in 1 to 2 years, not a distant concern. Before the first post-IPO earnings call, the governance architecture was built for the world we live in now, not for the world Dario says is coming, where AI systems run experiments, develop medicines, make decisions at a speed no governance structure was designed to oversee. The documents were not written for that world. The trust was not designed for it. The people have not yet been tested by it. And yet the IPO proceeds will not even be fully deployed before it arrives. 6 risks, 6 fronts. No document built to survive all of them simultaneously. When Anthropic's public filings becomes available, 4 signals will tell you whether the mission survived the transition to public markets. If the long-term benefit trust is restructured in any way, the documents are bending. If the people around Dario begin giving separate messages, the foundation is cracking. If Amazon and Google stop competing for Anthropic's compute, the power cord becomes a noose. If Claude's safety restrictions quietly disappear from any government contract, the mission's already gone. These signals will not arrive together. They will appear one at a time, in earnings calls, in regulatory filings, in interviews where someone says something nobody else repeats. The world will be watching the valuation, the stock price, the revenue growth. Nobody will be watching the documents. The word safely was deleted once, not by the people who cared about it, by forces that outweighed them. And now the same forces are arriving. Human nature, government pressure, infrastructure dependency, fractured alliances, a technology nobody was designed to govern. None of them appear in any document. The question is not whether Dario wants to protect the word safely. He does. The question is whether the forces he could not fully govern will delete it for him.